Dear interested people, I'm very delighted that today I will give some insights about the traditional food system development in Kosovo with regard to provide some information probably that might be useful for other people regarding the revitalization of marginalized mountain communities. Just at the first point, I would like to thank colleagues that they give me opportunity to provide this presentation to you as a part of Coast Action Project, which is a European Forum for Revitalization of Marginalized Mountain Areas. All this presentation is composed by three parts. In the first part, I will give some information, general information in regard to marginalized mountains, communities, and areas in Kosovo. In the second part, I will provide some information in regard to Dragashi municipality, which is one of the parts where the research took place. And the third part is specifically dealing with traditional food which was offered in this area for centuries. Is called kavern. Most of the information regarding this topic are related to traditional meat product provided for a long time in this part, and its potential impact in the mountains areas. This was a part of a small project conducted by Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary University of Prishtina with my team. My name is Hysen Bytyqi, and I will start the presentation. Just at the beginning, it's very important to mention that priorly to do any kind of research, there are certain steps that need to be taken into consideration. Like, for example, understanding the real mountain communities in respect to their geographic characteristics, socioeconomic characteristics, and importance of traditional food system and impacting those communities and reasons for why they're so much important for these areas. One of the most, let's say, important part in the marginalized communities and areas and mountains areas is cultural significance and biodiversity, which is often very rich. The same is in Kosovo by providing different possibilities of preservation of cultural heritage and practices, maintenance of biodiversity and ecosystem health, promotion of sustainable cultural practices. Of course, in this regard, since we are talking about marginalized areas, mountains areas, there are lots of challenges that need to take into consideration for any reasons before starting any kind of development process or strategic process to be conducted over there. And one of the things that I would like to mention here is that the holistic approach used would have much more impact compared with segmented interventions or infusion given by local communities or by local government or by central government. So often I've seen during my study there that there were certain parts of the project that were taken, certain actions undertaken. However, they were not very much built on the lessons learned from each other, but they very much specific to something which then we could call this as a segmented approach and will have a limited impact to communities living there. So one of the most, let's say, challenges that are facing mountains areas in Kosovo is isolation, lack of infrastructure. In many cases, in many places, in many remote villages there in the mountains area, they face still with some problems of infrastructure. Then, as a second is, I have to mention, it's economic marginalized and poverty, because people usually they migrate. People, they have some capacities to move. They, for several reasons, like for infrastructure, like for education for their children, like for finding a better or easy job, or they migrated just for other reason. They moved from those areas. So I have to say, although those figures are not very precise, in the last decade, 2 to 5% of the population in Dragashi municipality was decreased due to migration of the population. Another segment is, of course, very important: environment degradation and climate change impacts. So often you find degradation without taking into consideration that environment is damaged so much that is impacting not only immediate tourism approach and attractiveness, but also in the future will have impact on climate change in general. About the strategic framework for development, as I said, we should consider, before going further, most of the situation where the impact will have direct to the communities, but also to the whole area in general, by considering all aspects together. As I mentioned before, we should have this holistic approach. So from the pictures, you can see here that it's very important to have integrating traditional knowledge within modern techniques. Most of the farmers there, they continue to produce, or in general in Kosovo, to produce in very traditional knowledge, where the quality assurance of food and food provided for people that they want to visit that area is far to complete the standards, or for consumers as well. Community engagement is another aspect that has to be considered seriously, and trying to support them on a way of leveraging traditional agriculture practices and incorporating modern sustainable techniques to provide sustainable development for this part. Community engagement is a key and crucial part. Often that was not done in a proper way. Empowering local population, it's important for decision making, for capacity building, and their role of local leaders and knowledge holders, it's very, very important. By all this, we are pretty much sure that agricultural production in those areas, in mountainous areas, it's not possible, or it's not fair to ask them to compete with the lowland production. However, they have a very much advantage by providing organic and eco clean food for consumers and for visitors. Like, for example, I just provided you a picture of beekeeping, one of the farmers in the very remote areas, where the production is a bit lower compared to low land, since the vegetation period is smaller. However, quality and the interest of consumers to buy it for higher prices, a price was very, very much expressed by consumers. And of course, another thing is that water conservation and soil management has to be taken into consideration, especially in the regards that some private businesses they don't take care during their process of expanding some small businesses relating to providing accommodation and other facilities for visitors. They usually don't take into consideration also environmental impact and how they should behave according to the rules for these areas. Biodiversity conservation is another aspect. So visitors, they want to see areas with a lot of and very rich indigenous species and habitats. They want to see that to have, in cases, it is local flora, how it's and fauna, how is this preserved, and all this provides sustainable harvesting practices needs. And importance by building a seed bank and heritage seed exchange if, in case, one of the typical indigenous species of local flora or fauna is damaged or is at risk to not exist. Economic empowerment is another issue. Definitely people will stay there if they see some economic interest as well. So, for example, by providing to visitors, which is in the number now is increasing year by year, by providing traditional food that could support definitely local communities there, and providing sustainable development for mountains area as well. But for this, which should be support again to the development of local markets and value chains where farmers they can provide their products, and where the interested people know exactly which dates and which days perhaps are exposed the local community products, food products, in order to be able to buy or to be consumed. One very important role in this regard plays as well promotion of agrotourism and ecotourism as well, and access to microfinance and funding opportunities in order to enable food providers there with increasing capacities and improving their techniques and machinery for producing food, for labeling, for marketing, and so on. For this regard, it should exist the proper policy and advocacy. So the policy in this regard is very much depending on local government, on central government, that they should know better insights and needs for community areas in mountain parts, and what they need and how should be adjusted policy to provide a certain regulation that will provide for farmers there economic impact, will provide environment safe, will provide some facilities because they are in a small number, and then for each and every government, it's important for them to be there and to live there in this remote area. Now, allow me just to provide some information about the place where the experiment took place. Dragaš municipality is the most southern part of Kosovo, borders with North Macedonia and Albania. It's a very remote area, I would say, with a population of about 35,000, living in one habitat about 430 square kilometers. What is important to mention here are two facts. The first fact is that only 3.2% of total populations of this municipality, which belongs to Prishtina district and in Kosovo, belong to urban areas, which means that majority of residents over there live in remote and in rural areas. And another, so second specific, I have to mention that the demographic structure is pretty much diverse, composed by Albanians, Goranis, Bosnians, and others which live and provide cultural heritage. They provide some economic growth for the country as well, since the attractiveness of people visiting and going and testing traditional foods that are provided by farmers and spending some time in this part is pretty high, is increasing year by year. In general, we'll give some prediction about the growth rate, which in 2023 was about 3.2%. Predictions are showing that in 2024, this GDP would be to 4%, which consider that there is economic growth in this area, mainly thanks to the main income which have impact there is agriculture, tourism, and handcrafts. From agriculture is mainly livestock, and from livestock, a specific place for sheep rearing, which is as a consequence of this type of livestock production. Most of the products and handcrafts are related to sheep production, like cheese, like meat, sheep, like wool, which handcrafts are made by them. And tourism is another aspect which provides main economic income for this region. And this part should be supported by all other pillars as well, by traditional food, by economical capacities to invest in these areas, by providing environment purity and proper policies for all these aspects in order to boost further tourism, which is very much related to ecotourism, including hiking, skiing, and culinary tourism as well. Mainly, in some pictures, I will give you some insights about what kind of culinary heritage is specific for there. Usually, key ingredients for different types of food that they provide is caused by using also foraged herbs, locally grown products, wild games, and so on. Iconic dishes like talkosi, pite, flia are very typical food for this area and known since the people they like going there for tourism, but at the same time to test traditional food, which is provided of this type of food. And cultural importance, preservation of cultural heritage, culinary traditions, and community identity. For sure, there are challenges also very much in regard to how to preserve this ecosystem and food preservation as well. Unfortunately, you can find also pictures like this where the people sometimes they heavily damage the environment by not respecting any regulation in this regard. And on other I would say aspect, a part of environmental degradation is also climate change, which is erratic weather patterns affecting crop yields and livestock health sometimes, and market access, which is limited access to market and distribution networks due to remote locations, especially when sheep farmers. They go they migrate with their flock from May to end of September in pastures area where market and production facilities are rather poor. Opportunities for economic development, I see a lot, and it should be linked to sustainable agriculture, culinary tourism, and cultural preservation as well. Cultural preservation is very rich there. It supports traditional crafts, festivals, and cultural events. I provided some recommendations for these actions, which are related to environment conservation, to infrastructure development, and capacity building. All those three facts need to be integrated to each other in order to have intensive support and have direct impact to communities living in these areas. Encouraging participation of local communities in decision-making process is something that has to be taken seriously, not only just to be mentioned, but really to be involved from the start of any actions on the holistic approach of how to develop those areas, and by facilitating partnership between government, NGOs, and local stakeholders. And this supports fostering knowledge exchange and learning networks. The main fact that why I was interested to go there with my team was traditional food, which was offered for a century in this part. It's kaverma. It's a very typical food, which I haven't met even in literature, but it has been produced in other places. There are some other foods in different cultures, like in Turkey and in Bulgaria, which are close to this. But again, technology and the way how it is produced, kaverma in the Russia area, it's typical for this region and for Kosovo as well. So kaverma is a traditional meat product from Kosovo, primarily produced in the Dragoši district, made from fresh sheep meat produced for generations, but historical records are scarce. Notable for its unique taste, it's served hot or cold. It depends from the type of the food, which is kaverma is combined. Definitely, it's important to have kaverma and to boost not only interest for the production, but at the same time to provide better techniques how to fulfill criteria for food quality and the attractiveness of visitors in this part. It is important to have integral. If cultural economic significance of this food is very much integral to cultural heritage and rural sustainability, it provides economic opportunities for local producers, contributes to food biodiversity and cultural identity, and supports rural economy in the Dragaš region, reliant on sheep and cattle farming very much. As a technique for producing, I provided very detailed information presented in this figure. However, I will mention the three most important parts of the technique, how this food is being developed. The first step is the sheep is slaughtered, washing, draining meat, cooking with salt, preserving with fat. So fat is kind of preservation, which keeps the meat inside and keeps the whole kaverma as a food kind of saved from spoil. Second step is cooked by steam, boiling until bones separate from the flesh. And the third, seasonings are added before compressing and sealing with fat for preservation. Important thing is to mention, and where I was really worried, and I was giving kind of trying to find some reason why this food in recent days is so low interest of people to produce and very much low interest of people to consume it. It's because traditionally it's a very old technique how to produce it, especially when the food of caverma is produced. Preservation is stored in a clean sheep stomach or intestines, buried or kept in cool places. So this is a very old type technique, which far to complete the idea how to qualitatively preserve and how the people would like to see in terms of food quality. At least in the first step, we could support farmers to provide just some small contribution of inside techniques like hermetically sealed containers using its own fat for preservation could be very much a positive change from storing it on a stomach or intestines of animals. Challenges definitely are present there regarding this food, which are related to inadequate standardization and limited nutritional knowledge. There is no knowledge. It was the first time that someone did some research in this food. Then is restricted marketing and distribution channels. Seems that limited number of people or consumers are interested again, kind of to revitalize this food and provide for broader use. A need for better documentation for sustainability and cultural relevance is also very important. So here I provided 3 parts where not only the research can go on and can be developed, but also all stakeholders can be involved in order to provide sustainable development of the community area. And by aiding this, one of the most important part is, or most important pillars is food, traditional food. And one of the most typical traditional food for this area is sheep meat, which in this regard we researched for caverma as one of typical food for provided in this region. It is important to mention that it helps to protect and market production by association with specific regions, by developing by providing some insightful about the geographical indications about this product, to provide some information, some cultural heritage by giving them a better position for this food and to develop it further. And emphasizes unique qualities and traditional methods as well, enhancing recognition and market value for caverma. Those steps would help developing and have a direct impact in sheep farmers by supporting them to continue producing caverma as a traditional food. As a conclusion, I have to say that documenting, standardizing, and marketing caverma can preserve the product. Otherwise, that almost is gone. And if not immediate actions are not taken, certainly that just maximum indicate this food will not exist anymore, and no one will know how to prepare it, and no one will know that it was tasty or that it was provided in some places, sometimes in this region of Dragaš. Then supports rural economies and cultural heritage in Kosovo. Addressing challenges promotes sustainability of traditional products. By this, I thank you for your attention, and the contact details are here for any interested people, scientists, for this food and some traditional foods in Kosovo in regard to how to boost the development and revitalization of marginalized mountainous areas, specifically for Kosovo. I am at your disposal under this information given in this slide. Thank you very much.